Hey guys, we're the Jersey Comic Crew. In today's episode, we got a special for you. We're giving you everything you need to know about WandaVision before you start watching the series on Disney+. Stay tuned to get some more of that WandaVision news.
Hey guys, Chris and Rob here from the Jersey Comic Crew as always, and we are delving into everything you need to know about WandaVision, Wanda Maximoff, the Vision, what might be other characters from the MCU or Marvel Comics that are in the background of what we've seen so far in the trailers. And as always, Rob is going to give us the goods, this breakdown of the two biggest characters right now that everyone's talking about because it's all we got at the moment. But Wanda Maximoff and the Vision, what those characters have been through to get to here, and then we're going to break down all these different characters and how this show is going to change their lives, specifically Wanda's, and the MCU's forever. So let's go. Let's do it, Rob. Let's do this. I'm excited.
Real quick, Wanda. She was first introduced in Avengers Age of Ultron. She's introduced as an enhanced being, not a mutant, so that's something to play in your mind when you watch the future of the show. She becomes an Avenger along with her brother Pietro, who unfortunately died at the end of the movie. Her and Vision then began a romantic relationship during the in-between times of different movies, and we see that fully fleshed out in Infinity War. Moving on to Vision. Vision was created in the Age of Ultron by Iron Man, Bruce Banner, and Ultron, with the Mind Stone and the leftover mechanical parts from the failed Ultron experiments. He was created essentially to stop Ultron, which we did see in that movie. He becomes romantically involved with Wanda, as we said before, during Infinity War. And unfortunately, he is killed by Thanos at the end of Infinity War. Not by a snap, his stone was removed and his head was destroyed. So that kind of leaves us to where those characters are now. Now, this transitions into WandaVision. We see both those characters alive and well in this. So what else do we need to know before watching this movie, Chris?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things is Wanda's state of mind going into this show. And that's what everyone's been kind of speculating. Is she, deteriorating? Is she going crazy? What's the case? And you got to remember, she lost the love of her life. And she lost her brother. Like Rob just kind of detailed, everything about Wanda so far has been absolute tragedy. And going into WandaVision, we also know she's one of the most powerful quote-unquote mutants, but superheroes of the MCU, right? We've had Kevin Feige himself say that Wanda Maximoff, if given the time, probably could have taken Thanos down by herself. Correct. Which is very high praise from the guy who basically does all this stuff.
She was also powered by the Reality Stone. That's where her powers comes from. Something I forgot to mention.
Yeah, she was. And that Reality Stone, which Thor got from the ether in the Dark World, which we, watch once and leave it there. But that Reality Stone kind of helped Hydra and helped their start, quote-unquote, enhanced program, which gave us Pietro and Wanda. But now her power is kind of going out of control. We see from the trailer, there's parts of the Mind Stone. She might be trying to put it back together.
Correct.
She's kind of in this bubble, which maybe her powers are too, they can't be controlled with the power of the Mind Stone and her kind of weird telekinesis power. Now, so her mind state right now is going to be very questionable as far as stable, as well as also a big part of it to me is denial. It seems like all this stuff around her is winding and changing, and she knows Vision's dead, but because she sees him, she won't accept it. So that might be a big thing too. I think it's going to be a lot about denial and kind of ignoring issues, and they get bigger and bigger.
We do see with Wanda, when she is emotionally charged, especially with rage and anger, she is stronger. Her powers become that more effective. We saw that in Endgame and how she attacked Thanos and almost destroyed Thanos by herself. And we've also seen, guys, very important to pay in mind that the Reality Stone, when used in complete control, you can make anything you want around you a reality. We see Thanos recreate his homeworld, gets rid of it, recreates visions of himself to die for other people to see. So it's very possible that due to her agitated mind state, that the reality power space in her starts going array that creates this alternate reality where we see that Vision is alive. Now, something else that you guys need to know of, or at least have some working based knowledge of, is a organization called SWORD. Now, SWORD stands for Sentient World Observation and Response Department. So you don't really need to remember that part of it. Just remember the sword handles the big stuff outside of Earth. That's originally what it was intended for in the comic books. While S.H.I.E.L.D. protects Earth, sword goes out there to attack things. Now, it's very likely, since S.H.I.E.L.D. has been disassembled, that sword is playing a big role into this, because we've seen government entities around in the other trailers, along with Monica Rambeau, right, who we're going to get into in just a moment. So it's more than likely that a new organization has been developed.
And that would make sense, right? Because bigger things are happening. Thanos snapped away half the population of the planet, and there really wasn't a shield to kind of monitor or stop it, right? The first line Nick Fury talks about the Avengers is where, I created the Avengers to take down the things no one else could take down or no one else could stop, prevent the big bad things. I think Sword is going to be that reincarnation of S.H.I.E.L.D. in a big bad way. We also get Jimmy Woo, who we see from Ant-Man and the Wasp, kind of the cop who shows up now as a part of Sword, and he's actually trying to talk to Wanda like, hey, are you okay? Are you in there in this mindscape? We hear him over the radio. So Sword is going to be a big thing, as well as Monica Rambeau that Rob was talking about, who is a Captain Marvel in her own right. The adult Monica Rambeau, who gets thrown in there, doesn't even know from the trailer who she is. Is she a kid before she's thrown in there is the question. The last time we saw her was in the first Captain Marvel movie as a child. So,
but that also took place in the 80s, right?
90s.
Sorry. That also took place in the 90s, so she's going to be obviously younger. So, Chris, tell the people Monica Rambeau in the comics. Who is she in the comic books, and why is she important to be in this movie?
Monica Rambeau. Yeah, Monica Rambeau is really a badass Captain Marvel in her own right. She was created in about the late 70s, early 80s. John Romita Jr., Roger Stern created her for Marvel. She was, kind of this space Captain Marvel, a little more on Earth. Carol Danvers kind of took that space role, that sword role that, like we see in the MCU, right? Where she gives the line of, hey, there's a lot of planets out there that don't have Avengers that I go and try and take care of stuff. Monica Rambeau's a little more close to home. But yeah, she's a Captain Marvel in her own right. So we could be looking at two Captain Marvels and a Miss Marvel in the coming year and going into Captain Marvel 2. So what I think Monica Rambeau is going to kind of be is like almost this possible tether. Maybe she went in there and as a sword agent, and whatever happens to her inside this mindscape gives her powers.
Could be.
And also maybe she goes in there like, hey, we need to go in there and get Wanda out. But she goes in there and immediately doesn't remember why she's there. You know what I mean? So that could be a big thing. So definitely keep an eye out on Monica Rambeau. It's going to be a really cool story also to kind of see if she has her powers from the beginning, which I think she'll get her powers in there somehow with all the gems and stuff.
Yeah, especially like just the excess energy that Wanda's creating could start something in her, maybe a mutant gene to give her powers. They can do all kinds of different things. The last character we want you to know a little bit about would be Mephisto. You might have heard us mention him before on the show. Mephisto is one of the 7 warlords of hell, essentially. He's a devil king in his own right who has had many instances with the Marvel characters in the comic books, creating deals with them to get them to do his bidding, either to get out of hell, to become more powerful, just to mess with them. Now, Chris has mentioned it before in some of the Easter egg videos that we've done in the past. There's been some characters that have shown up, that have possibly shown up in these trailers that might have direct ties to Mephisto. Now, Chris, who would those characters be?
Yeah, one is definitely, we see Agatha Harkness, basically, as the witch who's kind of like in the car half asleep, and she's like, but you're dead. And Vision's like, what? So I think she was sent by Mephisto, or Mephisto's using her to get through. The thing about Mephisto is he needs a vessel to get through to Earth.
Yes.
And even in the comics, he's very attracted to Wanda's powers. Even in comic books, in the 60 years of Wanda Maximoff, there is a lot of still unknown about her powers. It's not kind of this cut and dry, like Doctor Strange is the, Sorcerer Supreme. She's mystical, she's dark, she's Omega level mutant all at the same time. So there's so much mystery of how her power works, and we've seen House of M where there's no more mutants. Could that be something we see in this, or something Mephisto wants to bring more mutants and more people he can control? But I think I'd be very surprised, Rob, if we don't see Mephisto in this show in some form.
We've also seen hits of Mephisto in the Loki trailer. We see him in the glass panes in one of those scenes, although very briefly. So it is logical to me that maybe Mephisto might be in the background of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Maybe he is the next big bad, and it's not, Galactus or Doom
Dr.
or
Doom.
Insert your crazy fan theory here. It could be just the devil.
I don't remember that one.
Right?
I don't think so. I think personally, and he, who knows, he could be, they may be upping Mephisto to like Dormammu sized and unstoppable and, the next phase of the Marvel Universe. I mean, they are bringing Blade into the Marvel Universe.
True.
So we don't know how far this Mephisto, possibly Dracula storyline, everything else.
Think, like Dormammu, you said there, who's a larger-than-life character, huge and strong, they made him very small for the MCU, so they could do the reverse here, I think. Maybe Wanda's actually in hell, and she's seeing all these dead people, and that's why she said Vision is dead, and she's trying to get his soul back. I don't know, guys. Is there anything else, Chris, you can think of that they need to know before they watch the show?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been going down the path of the House of M comics because it's the biggest Wanda comic.
Yes.
It involves the biggest story that she's in, and people are just associating a show with her name in it to a comic like this. I think we're going to get bits and pieces from it. I don't think we're going to get a No More Mutants moment or a, More Mutants moment, because I don't think that's going to be a thing in this show. But I do think the aspect that they're taking from that book is her extremely fragile mental state that kind of causes that outburst at a later time. And I think people got to remember, Wanda in this show is the first act of a 3-act play for Marvel. It's True. WandaVision, Doctor Strange 2, and then Spider-Man 3. So it could be a mutant situation, but I think if that's the case, it's going to be a House of M situation through that whole arc, not just the show.
Yes, and House of M that he's referring to, where Wanda goes into a catatonic state and creates this alternate reality where mutants are hunted and subjugated. Like millions of mutants die. Like 93% of the population of mutants gets gone, eliminated, never existed. And then the small group of mutants and other heroes have to work their way in this mindscape that Wanda's created to essentially wake her up to break out of this, right? So that is the House of M story that they are referring to, which could be a very simple analogy of this, where Wanda goes into this dream state and maybe instead of destroy something, creates. And that's what people are speculating that mutants come from. But we'll know when the show comes out, and we're going to review each and every episode when it does and make sure to give you a full breakdown of all the little Easter eggs and further speculations that come from it. That's been this episode, guys. Thank you so much. We want to hear your thoughts and theories down in the comments below for WandaVision. And if we missed something that you think other fans might need to know, let us know.
Yeah, guys, and thanks so much for watching. Give us a thumbs up, really helps the channel out a lot. If you're new, subscribe, turn on notifications. Like Rob said, you don't want to miss anything involving WandaVision when we review and break down every single episode as it comes out for you guys. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I'm Chris. That's Rob. We are the Jersey Comic Crew, and we will see you next time.